So, Sean, for today's Which Word of the Day, I'm choosing a phrase, Circle of Magi. And I know you
Oh,
don't know what this is because you didn't play these games. It's in Dragon Age.
I knew it.
So, in the Dragon Age games, the circles, there's multiple ones, Circles of Magi, are all part of one unified organization dedicated to teaching magic users to control and wield their abilities, which, sounds like a good thing, right? It's like Xavier's
Yeah.
Institute. However, they are
Uh-oh.
run by religious authority, so they are as much for controlling and keeping track of mages as they are for teaching them. So it's like a cult. All mages are forced to live in the circles and cannot leave without permission.
It sounds like the Jedi.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Yeah, Jedi, evil. See, they're supposed to be good, but are they really? I don't know.
Right. When you actually look into it, like they're not allowed to marry, they have to be pulled away from their family when they're a kid. It's like,
See,
oh, that's not
yeah.
good.
You haven't even read that?
Wait, what are you doing with the book?
So he has the confidence to finish the story.
Hear now the words of the witches.
This is Kevin, and welcome to Words of the Witches, the Charmed podcast that will guide you through the lesser-known published material in the Charmed universe and decide how it fits into the grand narrative of the TV series.
All right, so welcome to Words of the Witches, Ooh, episode 69.
That's a
It's a
hysterical
number.
That's a hysterical number.
Yeah, this is Reversal of Misfortune. But Sean, oh my gosh, it feels like I haven't talked to you in like 10 years. It feels like so much time has passed.
I know, and like you rounded up a little. It's been like 2 weeks, but like 10 years is close. And yeah, we were texting, but I missed you. We haven't recorded in 2 freaking weeks.
Because we recorded all the February episodes before you left. We had confession
Right.
time. Oh.
Oh, and we doubled up on X-Men too to get those done.
Yeah. But yeah, you were on a big trip. I had major life events, craziness. It's still weird.
Yeah, we've both been through a lot in these last 2 weeks.
Yeah. So I would just want to tell people about it quick. Because I mentioned it a little bit on the bonus episode with Tess Fowler that I did. Actually, I don't think I even told you the full story.
I don't think so.
Yeah, so I was in Portland at the time, and I got a phone call that said my mom has died, which was very, very startling. And the person that called me was right there in front of her. They were in her home, and she died from diabetes, which no one knew she had.
Oh,
So a complete shock. She had a sepsis in her foot. She had an infection in her foot. Um, and that just spread, and it's only a matter of hours when that happens. And it's just crazy because I was looking through her paperwork and things, and she knew for at least a little while, but didn't tell anybody, which made it really tricky.
yeah, I'm sorry. That's hard.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been awful. Yeah. So, but I had a really nice service and everything, and it felt really good. I felt I got some closure. I got to see her, so it was good, but it just doesn't feel real. It's like the whole world is exactly the same, but feels a little emptier now. So it's just strange.
Yeah.
But I don't want to take it down too much.
Well, thank you for sharing with our fans. I think that's important that you did that. So I think that's why people love you and appreciate you and have flocked to you online, because you are very real with people. So you are very loved, Kevin.
Oh, thank you. And you and so many others have been a really great support system. But it's just going to take some time. I can say that Charmed and their portrayals of grief are so spot on. Like every time there's somebody who's grieving, I have felt that emotion at some point.
Wow.
Which is really amazing. Because I think about like Prue's grief over Patty, and having to step up, her guilt over Andy dying, even like Piper and the Pre-Witch when Graham's died. She's like, "There's nobody left to help us. We have all this doctors and lawyers and funeral arrangements and everything." Even like Phoebe, who she breaks. You see something familiar, and you break down over that. She just had Prue's coat, and it sparked something. And there was a time where I just held my mom's purse and just bawled over my mom's purse and hugged it. It was so it's just the little things that get to you. And people always get on Phoebe for not crying enough, but I guarantee you, Phoebe cried a lot, broke down when she was alone, probably at night, because it's those quiet moments where it really hits you.
Yeah. When you're alone with your thoughts, that's when it
Mm-hmm.
hits you.
Mm-hmm. So, and that's something I would have never probably considered before. But I know she did. And then it brings me back to Cole when she was alone in her room after Cole's death. So she probably did the exact same thing. Oh!
Or when she had a dance party in her room after Miles' death.
Yeah. Grief in different ways. But let's talk about, we did have a poll. Do you remember what it was? It's been so long.
I don't even remember.
All right. So I asked, this was after we had like the whole magical personalization of the houses, and people had to choose what their house would look like if they had magic to spruce it up. Yeah, kind of a fun one. So on Instagram, we had a few responses. We had Charmed X Hallowells says, I would put a glamour on it so it looked like Hallowell Manor. I feel like that's typical of Charmed fans. They'd be like, I want that house. Yes.
Yeah.
Antler gave me a picture of Shrek's little shack. So Shrek in front of his table with his like tree stump stove. Fun.
Beautiful.
Legion Ivory said, honestly, the X Mansion complete with Cerebro. Ooh.
Oh, I'd be Professor Xing all over the house.
That'd be fun. Like, let me scan my eyeball retina. Aaron Robertson says, my house would look like Castle Oblivion. The roofs would be the same turquoise color, but the castle would be more orange. And then above that would be orange and blue northern lights, and there would be a wolf motif etched into some of the castle itself.
That's very detailed. He's really planned this.
Very detailed. And then on Twitter, we had some responses as well. I got a lot of like animations, GIFs, GIFs. I never know how to say it.
I say GIFs.
Okay, so those. Chris Monteith says Charmed Manor, obviously. Bernard just put a GIF of the Twilight Zone. Like, is it Tower of Terror the Twilight Zone?
Yeah. We'll assume so.
Yeah. Jay Wong says, Greek palace with touches of modern technology and a lot of space. A triple-sized bedroom, a hot tub and a huge bathroom, and a control room to adjust lights around the palace. The garden will have the fountain of youth and flower bushes tended to by pixies and nymphs.
So what I imagine for him is in Thor Love and Thunder when they go to like the arena of the gods and it's like very Roman but very gold and new too. Like that's his palace.
Yeah. He sent a picture of like, I don't know, some Mount Olympus looking thing. On a hill.
Nice.
Chance said the outside could be anything. I just want it bigger on the inside. And then you put like, so fancy a trip in the TARDIS?
Doctor Who!
Yeah.
Season 2!
I know. Jack Harkness! Ooh.
Jack Harkness!
And then one more. Lucas Beauvais Strack says, like this, duh. And he puts a picture of the exploded manor.
Duh.
Duh. I want an exploded house.
Why not?
So those were very interesting, very fun. I think that's all I got. So silence! Here now the words of the witches. We are going to be talking about Season 9, Issue 21, Reversal of Misfortune. This was published May 2nd, 2012, written by Paul Ruditis, artwork by Dean Kotz, colors by Dash Martin. I want to say Dax Martin, but it's Dash Martin.
Oh.
Letters by Jim Campbell, edited by Matt Rogers, with cover art by David Seidman, because he does every single cover now.
Yeah, he's busy.
Yeah. Let's talk about this cover. So it's like all these people with powers doing things with there's a little child lifting up a car with like Phoebe in it. And it looks like Charmed is written in blood or something.
Yeah, that's dark. It's like dripping.
It's like dripping, yeah. And that little kid is actually modeled after David Seidman's nephew.
How cute.
So he drew his little nephew on the cover. And then we got some other people, some like shadowy looking thing, a girl doing electrokinesis. There's a man in a baseball cap doing like a fireball baseball. Oh, that's fun.
I swear that's Ash Ketchum. He
Ash
drew
Ketchum.
the hat
Yeah,
and the Pokeball.
right. I choose you.
I choose you, fiery demon hell.
Yeah, and it looks like somebody's kind of orbing like in the background, but they look
Oh
scared doing
yeah.
it. Yeah. Oh, I guess I start, huh?
Yeah.
Because I did the word of the day. All right, so it starts off with Phoebe in an alleyway, and she's holding little baby Parker, and she's like, "Yeah, I don't know if she's talking exactly what she means by here." She's like, "She never left with the gas tank on fumes." I don't
Oh,
really
because
understand it.
she was driving and the car stalled, maybe.
Maybe.
So that's why they have to go. Yeah, I was a little confused by that too, but now that we're
Okay,
looking at
so
it,
that's
giving
why she
us
has no
that.
car. So it's probably she was driving, and then it stopped, and then they start going on foot.
Yeah,
Okay, there we go.
we did it,
We
sleuths.
did it, sleuths. So he's like, now we just have to get through this battlefield, this magical battlefield that without our powers, because we're so innocent. And you hear thoom, and then she's like, "It's okay, just gotta be quiet, so that no one catches us." And she's like, "Ah!" Like all the noise, like shut up, baby.
Stupid Parker.
Yeah, and then a hand touches Phoebe's shoulder, and she's like, "Gasp!"
Ah! Kevin, it's okay, because on the next page you find out it's just Coop, and
Yeah,
he's like, "It's okay, baby, it's just me." And she's like, "You scared the shit out of me." And the baby's like, "Wah, wah, wah." Annoying baby. And Phoebe says, "I'm sorry, I should have waited for you at the manor, but I didn't realize things had gotten so bad out here." And he says, "We shouldn't have ever left you alone with Parker." And he just then there's a foom explosion behind them. And Coop, I love this. Coop is such a good guy. Like he pushes Parker and Phoebe in front of him so that way he protects them from the foom.
Mhm.
And Phoebe says, "I slipped out the back when I heard them at the front door. I don't know. Maybe we should talk to them. They're supposed to be helping." And Coop says, "No, Piper's right. We have to protect ourselves. With the world like it is, we can't trust anybody." And Parker really adds to the conversation by saying, "Wah! Wah!"
Yes. So it continues. Phoebe's like, "Can we go back the way you came?" He's like, "No."
No.
Like there's stuff blocking the way. So he's like, "I barely made it through, so now we definitely can't get through there." And then we see another. Ooh, it's a new onomatopoeia. It says "choom" this time. Choom.
I love these sounds.
Yeah, they're fun. He's like, "Our only chance is to go through the street where the battle zone is happening." He's like, "Here, give me the bibby. Give me Parker." And he's like,
She's turning into Goofy.
"Goofy, I know." And then he grabs Parker and he's like, "Let's go." And then they are off.
And on the next page, they continue their trek through the streets of
There's a
San
double
Francisco.
spread.
Double spread in the issue, too. So Parker continues to cry, and we see this really like epic battle between the magic users. And this is like onomatopoeing all over the place with a fush and a kazak and a shrak and a fatum. So this is pretty epic, Kevin. And Coop says it's not that far, but then suddenly there's a blasty in front of him, and Phoebe's like, "Look out!" And they escape, and then Coop's like, "It's just around the corner." And they end up, we find out, at none other than Knox Academy.
Oh, that place with pointy Professor Xavier.
Funny Professor X, I forgot about him.
So then it cuts to inside Knox Academy, and Paige is there with Elise, and Elise is saying, "We're getting more reports of magic squads picking up non-magical users and taking them to undisclosed locations." And she's like, "Nobody knows what happens to them when they go there and they disappear." And then Paige is like, "You shouldn't listen to those crazy rumors. You're a newswoman." He's like, "They wouldn't just abduct citizens, would they?" It's like, okay. And we see all like these refugees of like former magical people. This fairy though seems really tall to be a fairy.
Oh yeah,
She's like 3 feet or 2 feet high.
yeah. She's too big.
Yeah.
And this guy next to her is straight out of the 70s.
Which one, is it? The one with the blue?
Yeah, with the blue with the longish hair.
That's Tyler.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, we cut to the bottom underneath, and this leprechaun looking thing. I guess he's a leprechaun in a pretty little cute suit. Aw, they're playing
Yeah.
cards, and he's like, they blame us for this, even though we're the ones who lost our powers. And then Tyler says, "Seriously, Paige, I'm about to graduate. I'm not a kid anymore." Because he's like, "Stop, leprechaun! You're gonna scare the kids." He's like, "I'm not a kid anymore," and and so yeah, Tyler's like, "Yeah, I wanted to graduate from magic school, but now I have to graduate from this stupid academy
Oh,
because, yeah." And Paige is like, "Well, a degree is still a degree. Better, love that degree."
yeah. Even if it's from University of Arizona.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry. And then we see Phoebe and Coop and Parker walk in. By the way, I forgot to mention when you were reading, Elise can't catch a break in these comics. Like, she's always so haggard. Poor
She looks
Elise.
so old lady now. She really does.
Yeah. I can see why in the comics, like, looking that way, she has to up her game with the sex toys in her drawer because she's got to, like, do better there to get people to have sex with her.
But her hair is getting grayer. Like, Elise colors her hair. Come on.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
But anyway, Phoebe, Parker, and Coop enter, and Paige goes running to them. Oh, good, you're safe. And Phoebe says, there wasn't time. A magic squad came looking for answers, and we didn't have any. So we're finding out slowly that there's basically like the magic squad is looking for non-magic users because they're the ones who had magic.
Mm-hmm.
And then people who have magic are fighting in the streets because, well, people fucking suck. And this is very real. They would fight like this.
Yeah.
And then Paige says, you should have left Parker with Dad. And Phoebe says, she's only 3 weeks old. Like, I couldn't do that to her, and I couldn't do that to Dad. That's a lot of responsibility. And Paige says, well, at least we found Henry Jr.'s powers.
Sad.
I don't feel as bad about it. Yeah, it is sad. I don't feel as bad about it as when we did the girl, since the magic isn't natural to him. Oh.
Sure, just find the one with ice powers. I see how it is.
I know, you're an icist. And then Phoebe kind of says, well, we'll have to remember to unbind him after this mess is over, or else, I don't know, that could cause problems binding just a normal person. And then we see Phoebe giving Parker over to Elise, and she says, can you keep an eye on Parker? I have to check in with Piper. And then she says, Elise, your hair looks terrible. Like, put some dye in it, get it cut. Like, do better for yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, I made that all up. And then Paige says, Piper's in the nurse's office. And Phoebe says, they started already? I'd better get over there. And this picture of Phoebe, her eyes haunt my dreams.
It's so scary. It's like Blind Mag from Repo the Genetic Opera.
Yeah, I love that. You're right.
Yeah, and if you look, all their eyes kind of look like that through this entire issue. I'm like, why do their eyes look like that? But in this one in particular is like very noticeable.
Yeah, because she has like darker eyes usually, right?
Yeah.
And right here, they're just so like
everybody's
white.
eyes are the same color, really like piercing, scary, like unnatural.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
The colorist forgot to color them.
But yeah, it's interesting though, because they have all of their other children with Victor. Like, here, take all the grandkids. You get to watch them all.
Except for Parker.
Except for Parker. Because she's a too little baby. You don't need a little baby. They can't fix anything. They should unbind the powers because they'll take all the powers they can get. Any little power magical person, and just show your magical baby and you'll be fine. You can get past, probably.
That's true.
You should have just kept it. So then the next page starts with this glowy little scalpel knife thing is gonna cut into some flesh, some wicked flesh. But Leo is on the stretcher, or what do you call those things? Hospital bed? Gurney?
Yeah, gurney. I think that's
Okay.
right.
I'm not a medical person. He's on there and his back out, and there's a doctor about to make a cut. He's gonna try a wingectomy.
I love that.
Yeah, so he's gonna try to remove Leo's wings. And he's like, "This is really weird with the wife watching me, but okay." He's like, and it's also weird doing this in a school. This is also weird. I don't know. And then he's like, "Are you sure we shouldn't tell the governments about this? I could get in trouble." I'm like, "No, don't do that. That's rude.
Don't.
Why would you do that?" Um, so, but he's being very helpful, and he's like, "Yeah, he agrees to be discreet." Oh yeah, and then Piper's like, "Phoebe, you should never have come here alone. How's Parker?" And then Phoebe says, "I didn't have a choice. She's fine. I saw the black SUVs floating down the street." So the government, although that flying car we saw last issue is one of the government magic squad people. All the governments drive flying cars now.
Wow.
So, sure.
Yeah. I'm a little confused. I have a question for you.
Okay.
You said you're not a medical professional, but you're always asking me to play doctor.
Doctor. Oh, and spoiler alert, this doctor makes me swoon.
Oh, you can't even see his face, and you're already all for it.
Well, it's when I see his face where I get in it. So
Yeah. He kind of reminds me of someone, but we'll get to that.
okay.
All right, so the next page, Piper says she's kind of reflecting, and she's basically like, Parker's only been in the world for 3 weeks, and she's in the middle of the war zone. And Phoebe's being optimistic. She says, it's all right. We'll fix it all. She's like, she won't even remember. We'll fix it before she even grows older. And then Phoebe, or Piper, is kind of walking away. She's basically like, what the hell? Like, for months, people had powers, and suddenly everybody just wants to be bad and, like, fight each other? Like, this is so stupid.
Yeah.
And Coop, I know names, Kevin. Coop is like, everyone was in shock from their powers at first, but once everything settled, then they basically just started like testing their limits, which led to the fighting. And Phoebe says it's a shame so many people decided the best thing to do was evil. And Piper says maybe it would have been different if everything changed all at once. So here I like this because we learn that their powers didn't just go away, they slowly faded over time. Yeah.
It's a cool
And
thing to
then
learn.
yeah. And Piper says, guess we'll never learn the full potential of the power of 3 now. Because this happened right after Prue gave up her powers in order to let them be more powerful together. Okay, interessant.
Yeah.
Speaking of, Coop says, what about Prue? Any word from her? And Piper says, no, we haven't heard from that bitch in a while now. And Phoebe says, Piper, that's not fair.
And isn't that a change, like a twist? Piper was all about Prue. She's like, oh, I hate her now.
Yeah, fuck you, Piper.
So it continues on the next page. Pepper's like, fair? Don't talk to me about fair. The world is going to hell, and she's completely ignored us for months. Like, oh, Prue, what have you been doing? Oh, why are you ignoring your sisters? And Phoebe's just like, she must have her reasons. She's not going to be all Haiti on us. But then Pepper's like, well, she hasn't even met your baby. Dad doesn't even know she's alive. Like, this is bullshit. And then the doctor takes off his mask. And I get my panties are so wet. I can't help it.
Oh, at least you're wearing panties. I just spilled my seat.
Yeah. He's like, Piper, can I see you in here? I'm like, you can see me anywhere. Yes. He's just like, I can't do it. The wings won't come off. However, I've used my healing power on his body. That should repair the decay weakening him from the wings being out all the time. So he had a healing power, which stopped the life force draining. Cool.
Cool. And you know what, Doctor? I have ouchies all over my body. So if you want to use your healing hands, we can play Doctor.
Yes. Yeah, I'm hurting here and here. Just touch it. Oh.
Oh my goodness. Ow.
It needs some sexual healing.
Oh.
But the doctor's like, but you know what? I was an accountant 3 weeks ago. So, what do I
3 months
know?
ago.
Oh, 3 months ago. Yeah, sorry. So I was an accountant 3 months ago. So what do I know?
That's scary.
And Pepper's like, you saved his life. That is very plenty. And thank you.
Yeah. So next we have Coop showing Phoebe like that he'd like to fist her. I don't know why he's holding his fist out like that. But he asked her, "How are you holding up?" And she's like, "I'm just focusing on Parker and PJ and ignoring everything else. What about you?" And he says, "In a way, it's nice to be just a normal mortal dad. Just while it just sucks the world's falling apart, though." And then Piper comes over and says, "The doctor did what he could. He promised not to report us. But I do kind of wish I could erase his memory. But we have absolutely no powers and no way of casting spells." And then we hear, "Fatum!" And Phoebe says, "It's getting worse out there." And Paige runs in with Porny Professor X. And who's the guy in the blue shirt? Is that Henry?
That's Henry. Yeah.
Okay. And she announces another magic gang has joined the fight. They're getting closer. And we see Phoebe, Piper, and Paige together. And Phoebe says, "With this kind of battle, the government's going to have to send in a magic squad." And then Paige says, "So either we're killed by the gangs or taken in by the squad. Frying pan, meet fire." And then Piper says, "If we ever do find Rennick, I won't need magic to deal with him."
Ooh.
Yeah.
So then we cut to Rennick somewhere. No idea where he is. It's very pinkish. Very pinky up there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of information in this thing, so I'm just going to read most of it. He's up there in a trench coat with like some informant nurse looking man with a clipboard. And the man is like, "The world is in turmoil. Abuse of magic is rampant. Battles in the streets, fighting for dominance. If you don't take control, I'm afraid that people will destroy one another. This is chaos, crazy." And he's like, "Funny how..." Rennick's like, "Funny how everyone wishes for world peace, but when they actually receive a gift that could actually make it real, they use it to tear the world apart instead." Touche. Like, this is true. And
Yeah.
people are so like bad. Like, they're so ruined that they would do something stupid like that. I just hate people like that. But
Well, just look at 2020. Like that was such
yeah,
an eye opener to me of how
yeah,
bad our society still is.
it's horrible. And so this statement is very true, very real, very scary. And so the guy who's like very concerned, he's like, "You have control of the world's magic," so we know he has control of all the magic in the world now. He's the one that kind of dispersed it this way. Crazy. He's like, "It's your responsibility to stop this from happening." And Rennick is like, "I'm not that worried. If civilization falls apart, then they can start over fresh. What do I care about civilization? They never cared about me." He's like, "I managed to take over the world without even attacking the Charmed Ones directly. I was doing my stuff in the shadows. I'm so smart. Like, it's not my fault people are going to destroy themselves on their own. So, whatever." He's like, "Now stop annoying me." And then he touches the man and turns him to dust.
Yeah, that's OP.
Harsh. That's harsh, Ty.
Yeah.
Um, and so he turns to dust. The clipboard falls to the ground. He's like, "Good help is so hard to find."
I do want to share at this point. I really like Rennick. I really like characters like Rennick, where he started off weak, but through manipulations and through, we thought Nina was kind of manipulating him, but in a way he
Mhm.
was kind of manipulating her to his own ends. And now he's
Yeah,
like so powerful. That's so cool and so interesting as a villain.
very cool.
Yeah, so move over, Nina. You dress badly anyway. I like bisexual Rennick. And then Rennick does what anybody would do when they need good help. He goes to a flower, a tulip, and he touches it, and it turns into a woman, Kevin. A woman!
She looks like grown-up Namine.
Oh, you're right.
Her little white dress and her blonde hair. I'm like, oh, so this is what Namine grows up to look like. Okay. From Kingdom
And
Hearts,
she's
for people who
wearing
don't know.
heels, too.
She is.
Well, since you threw out Nominate, I'm going to throw out, she looks like Magic from X-Men, but
Oh.
in like a white dress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they're the same.
Yeah, maybe they are.
Be Namine
So-
from Kingdom Hearts goes up to be Magic from X-Men.
Yeah, that makes sense. They're both owned by Disney. So I feel like we get kind of a hint here because when she grows up, we see her shadow on something behind her, and there's kind of like a white lines, like a reflection. So it looks like they're inside some sort of like dome or pink glass or something like that. And the artist made sure to still put the pile of ashes with the clipboard.
Yeah, because she picked up the clipboard. She's like, I picked this up from the ashes like the phoenix.
Yeah. And Nominee says, how may I serve you? She's very horny, Nominee. And Rennick says, update me on what's happening in the outside world with all that bothersome editorializing. And she goes, gladly.
I mean, you know, that's what she's there for. She's like the sex pot assistant, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we cut to porny Professor Xavier, Mr. Knox. I don't remember his first name, but Knox, man. And he's like, hey, you guys, you know, we can get a good view of the fight from the clock tower. Come up and follow me. And then Piper's like, yeah, we need to find a path out of this school. Phoebe's like, I would have been better off staying off at the manor. I don't want to climb all these fucking stairs. And then, like...
you know what, though? At least these stairs go somewhere. At least they're not a fucking lie. So there's
That's
that.
true. That's true. Yeah, everybody has to say something up the stairs. They all have to say their little line.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Koopa's like, just trading one problem for another. At least we're together. Oh, the power of love. Oh. Together. And then Paige is like, I hope the kids are all right. Just random. And then Henry's like, they're better off than we are at the moment. You know, they're with Daddy Victor, you know? So.
Yeah.
All right, so they get up to the top of the stairs, and then Knox is like, the door's locked. Why is the door locked? And Paige says, you don't have a key? You don't have a key at all? And then Henry's just like, dude, I got this, bro. And he touches the door. He's like, I got magic. And then he turns the door into a metal pacifier for the baby.
That's weird.
And then he gives it to Phoebe. He's like, here, another gift for the baby.
He's like, you're the worst dad ever.
I know. She's like, Paige said you lost a pacifier. And she's like, well, it's a metal pacifier. That doesn't seem very sanitary.
No.
So thanks, but no thanks.
No thanks. So on the next page, porny Professor X leads them into the attic. And is that Piper, I think?
Yeah.
She says, you're right. This is a good spot to get a view of everything. And then I think that's Phoebe says, we'll check on the battle while you look for an escape route. And then Paige says, what's that building over there? And he's like, well, it's a ice rink. Like we can fit a roller rink. Sorry. We can fit everybody in there. And then we hear off screen, Piper, remember how I said the government's going to have to send in a magic squad? Well, they're here, and it looks like they brought everyone they've got, and we find out it's Phoebe talking. I didn't understand this part. Help me work through this one, because Paige says, even worse, the magic game gangs are teaming up against them. So I'm like, wouldn't that be good, though, that the magic gangs are fighting the magic squad to, like, create a diversion?
It would create a diversion for sure, but whoever wins, like if somebody wins, they're gonna come after them regardless.
Oh, okay.
So I
That's
mean,
true.
I guess it's good for the moment, but it also means that there's two groups of people that they have to worry about killing them or taking them in. It's just more people that could hurt them.
That's true. And looking at from the charmed ones and protecting innocent life,
Mm-hmm.
they wouldn't want people fighting. So now the fight's gotten even worse. So
Right.
I get it from that standpoint.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I think that's Henry says, well, that's not good.
Oh, and then we have another double spread, which is crazy. Oh, so there's just magic all over the place. Color, fire, wind,
Water.
powers combined. They're all fighting outside of the school, and there's a flying car, and things are crashing. It's insanity. And then we see this fireball flying right to the clock tower. Goes, and then Phoebe's like, "Is that a fireball?" And then she's like, "Yes, yes, it is." Speaking of, this is our power play for the day. Power play. So we did talk about pyrokinesis before, but now we're talking about fireball, a very specific fire ability. So this is the ability to shoot fireballs. It's a lethal power, mostly associated with evil, and most notably by demons. The user can conjure fire in the form of a ball without burning their hands and shoot them at their targets. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Fireballs can come in a variety of different shapes, sizes, and power, depending on the user, and are in general more powerful than energy balls. Because with energy balls, people can usually sometimes survive them. You can do them in different power levels as well. But, with the fireball, people are usually incinerated within seconds of being hit by them. Upper level demons can create extremely powerful fireballs, which tend to look like metallic rings around a flare of fire. I don't know if you've ever seen some of that in the show when like the Source does it or when Litvak does it. It's like these giant like little metal rings on fire. So those
I don't
are supposed to.
remember.
Oh, I'll have to show you a picture. But those are supposed to be the even more powerful fireballs.
Ooh.
Yeah, and fireballs from upper level demons, like the Source, seem to have more concussive effects. In addition to being the flamey, they can like blast you backwards and make you go flying. Fire starters who develop more control over their powers can also manipulate the flames they produce into fireballs. So you don't necessarily have to be evil, even though it's primarily an evil power.
Interesting.
Yeah. There's one limitation that says it can be nullified in locations where fire cannot exist. So like a vacuum or underwater or whatever, you can't do it there. It won't work.
So what you're telling me is Mario is more powerful than these witches because he can still use his fireballs underwater
Right. So there you go.
and breathe underwater, apparently.
Yeah, right. Okay, that's it. Power play.
Cool. So continuing where the fireball left off, it hits the clock tower and everybody goes boom, and everybody gets scattered by the fireball. And Piper gets up and says, "Is everyone okay?" And Phoebe says, "More or less." And Henry says, "Sorry, I should have stopped that somehow." And Paige says, "Don't worry, honey. You're still learning." And then Porny Professor X, "Fuck you." He's like, "Oh dear, I don't know that the school is covered for fireballs. My only concern is the money. I don't give a shit about any of you."
Now this is where Paige comes in, and she says, "The fight's coming this way. Magic Squad or Magic Gang. Whoever wins this thing is coming in. We've got to clear the school." So she wants to evacuate the school into the roller rink to keep everybody safe. And then the professor, Porny Xavier, is like, "That's over 200 people." Then Piper goes, "You two stick out the door. Henry, make it a brick wall if you have to, because, you got powers." And he's like, "No, I'm going to do metal." And so Piper's just making the plan, and he's like, "We're going to go to the emergency route. We're going to sneak everybody out."
On the last panel, Piper looks a little doofy with the way she's holding her mouth.
A little bit like an orangutan. Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh. A roller rink. So next we see Piper yelling out orders, take only what you can carry, big kids help the little kids, and somebody grab the fairy. And we see Tyler's helping Leo, and Leo like takes advantage of this moment to get close to Piper and be like, I get so turned on when you're commanding. Oh. And Piper says, funny, I hate it.
You're right.
And then Leo says, it's going to be okay. At least we don't have to worry about all the kids because they're with your dad. And she says, not all the kids. So, like, I'm scared, Kevin. I think something's going to happen to Parker. Like, the fact that Parker's even not with the dad, and the fact that, like, they keep bringing up, like, we have Parker. Like, they keep reminding us.
That's true.
So we see Phoebe talking to an old haggard woman that's supposed to be Elise.
So disgusting. She looks so ugly. Like her little pudgy face, her white hair, her little sad sunken eyes. Like, what is this?
Right. She keeps getting worse.
Oh.
And Phoebe's like, I need to stay with Piper. I need you to take Parker to Coop. And Elise says, you know he won't leave you behind. And Phoebe says, you have to make him. Hurt him to save him. Moulin Rouge. And then Phoebe's like, just go, Elise, go. And we see in the back Paige running in to probably say something.
Yeah. It's just so funny. Because Phoebe's like, just go. And then Paige is like, wait, no, don't go. It's like, hey, no, false alarm. Everything's okay. The good guys are on our side. Stop the evacuation. Like, oh my. And then we have Bailey with her glasses here again. And just carrying all her books too. Like, that's such a dweeb. Oh my god.
Priorities.
She's like, oh, Piper, I got my books. Yeah. And then Paige is like, come with me. I've got something to show you. And then the clock tower. So she's taking it back to the clock tower. And Piper's like, is it Prue? Is she finally here? Paige is like, no, not Prue. But you're never going to believe who's in charge down there. Oh, surprise, surprise. So they go, and she's like, look over there by the side. And Piper's like, is that who I think it is? Yes, it is. Like Britney Spears. But I thought the old lady dropped it in the ocean at the end.
Oh, no. You went there. So I get the honor and privilege of doing the last page. They're talking about none other than the actor Dorian Gregory, who plays Daryl. Daryl's back!
Are you so surprised and excited?
I am surprised and excited, and he's using, like, it looks like Jean Grey powers. He has pink sparklies coming out of his hands, and he's wearing a sexy pink shirt. I'm like, yes, Daddy Daryl, let's play doctor. And he's like, how did I know I'd find the charmed ones in the middle of this mess?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
That's a good surprise.
I'm glad. Speaking of more surprises, we actually have a little shout out.
Kevin, it is Dorian Gregory, Dale Morris, charmed. So, you have been doing a podcast for a bit of time called Words of Witches. Couldn't ask for a better name. Magical. Words, magical. Words are memories. Words are feelings. Words are incantation. Words are magic. And podcast and sharing magic. The most powerful gift you can give to anybody is sharing of a moment, an experience, an emotion, a feeling. And that's what you do. Sharing across the world these 20 plus years of a shared experience and moment is what you do. That's the biggest gift you can give anybody. That's the biggest gift of life. The sharing of a memory, of a moment of magic. And that is all summed up in words, and the words funneled through your experience and your moments. Wow. Thank you for reaching out, brother. And I hope that you continue doing this magical experience forever. We've been around for almost ever. And I have not personally met you, but I've had the joy of this mutual shared experience for 20 plus years, man. And we get the opportunity to do that forever. And so, wow. What more can I say, man? Pleasure meeting you. So glad you reached out. And charmed. That's what it's all about. A charmed life, a charmed moment, a charmed experience, a charmed sharing. Wow. Hey.
It's what I needed to hear right now. It made me cry. So how cool. And that's the end. Wow. So what are your feelings on this issue?
This one was like pretty epic. I mean, I'm a little upset that like they bound the ice powers and Leo wants to get rid of his gorgeous wings. But you know what? I'll look past it because this had really good action and really good story. I loved it.
Yeah. This is one of those issues too that's like just like establishing the world as we know it, making clear some of the changes that happened with the magical switch. And there's a lot of notable plot progressions, like Leo and his wings and the refugees and Daryl. And it's a good setup for what's to come. It's a good transition to what's next. Yeah. And I like that this too. It's very timely in relation to my life, I guess. Maybe I'm just bringing it back to that. But there's some sadness and hopelessness in this issue, but glimmers of light in the sisters' support system. Their circle of friends and loved ones are all joining the fight, and that's really beautiful to me. So
that's a very good point. Look at you.
I know. Okay. I have nothing for canonical. There's nothing that's egregiously in error, nothing that's a huge callback, so skip that. Did you have anything?
No.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure before I completely like shattered your dreams of telling your story. Tips for future white lighters. What's the moral of this one?
Oh, we're really just messengers? Guides? Think of us as guardian angels for good witches.
Tips for future white lighters.
I was out being a force of good in the universe.
I'm going to say that the tip, I'm trying to like form this idea, but it's kind of, even if you feel like you wronged someone, like, I feel like there's still that relationship there. Like, they treated Daryl like shit, and he was still there to like protect them and be there when they needed him. So I feel like a lot of people, including myself, let certain relationships like fall to the wayside because you're like, oh, things got awkward with that person, or it'd be too much to like reconnect. But the person on the other side probably wants to reconnect too, because we all get a little bit lonely and we all need people in our lives.
Mm-hmm. And that's very true to what the series hold, because he was burned by them a lot and he was moving away to keep his family safe, but at the end of the day he still had a concern for the sisters and he still cared for them, and his last episode was still being there to help them out. So
yeah.
All right, mine is: when hard times fall upon you, lean on the support of those who love you, and also be that person that will willingly do what you can for those around you that are hurting. So ours are very kind of symbolical with this episode, but I think it's great.
Yay!
All right. Ooh, onomatopoeia. There's so many to choose from.
There's so many. I'm gonna go just because I think it's so ridiculous, but Fatum.
That's what I picked too.
It's so stupid. Fatum.
Yeah. Fatum. I don't know. It's something. It just hit me in a certain way. So
yeah, Fatumed all over me.
All right, easy peasy. All right, what is your most valuable panel?
My most valuable is when they're up in the clock tower. They've just been exploded, and we see like the three sisters with Porny Professor X and Coop and Henry. I just think this image like tells you exactly what this issue is all about. Like they're in the middle of a war.
That's true. Oh, look at that. See, I never even have thought of that. My most valuable panel is Daryl with the powers.
I knew it.
It's so cool. It's so sexy. It's so amazing. Great surprise. And it's fun to see him with magic. Do you remember when we last saw him with magic in the series?
Ooh, I do remember seeing him with magic, but I don't remember what magic and when.
It was in Hot Mama's Little Monsters, season 6, episode 9. When Paige cast like an invincibility spell on Daryl.
Oh yeah.
And he got the powers of invincibility and super strength. He was pull the whole door off the police car and he threw the guy in and he flew out the other side. Or like when he crushed his phone.
That's right. And
like,
that was a heavy episode.
Very fun. But yeah, and then he got bullet shot at him and they just bounced right off. Beautiful.
Yep.
Next is sexiest drawing. Ooh.
I know what yours is, but mine's different. My sexiest is actually Daryl. I'm so happy he's back. They drew him so well. I think not only is this sexy in the fact like sexy hoo hoo ha ooh yeah hot mama, but it's also sexy in like it's a sexy hook. At the end, like Daryl's back. He has powers. I'm so excited to read the next issue to see more Daryl. So this definitely like got me there.
Yeah, for sure. You know what mine is. My sexiest drawing is hello, doctor. Hello, nurse. Whatever you want to call yourself. I just look at his face. He's got those beautiful eyes, those little expressionable eyebrows, his cute little goatee. I just want to make out with him. Sexy black man.
I know why you like him so much, because you know who he kind of resembles?
Who?
Aladdin's daddy.
Oh, I didn't think about that. A little bit.
I mean, from looking at the drawing, he's probably supposed to be black, but I think like facial features and the way his beard is, he could very well be Aladdin's daddy.
He looks like to me. What's that guy from Criminal Minds? Shamar Moore. Do you know who that is?
I do not.
He was a black guy that was on Criminal Minds. That's so sexy to me.
Okay.
Now that I'm out of my tizzy, we can continue. Issue ranking. What would you rank this issue?
I'm gonna continue with saying it's magically delicious.
Okay. I will agree with you on that because I mean, it's weird because like there is lots of action, but it's not really the kind of stuff you would think. I mean, there's not a lot happens, but it's all very important, necessary stuff, and it's exactly what it needs to be. I guess that's a lot of things, but there's subtle things. A lot of subtle things that add up.
Yeah. And I think he's what's his name? The writer.
Paul Ruditis.
I think he's coming into his own in fitting the story into a comic, and also the way he's peppering in like Tyler and Elise, and now we get Daryl. Like he's doing a really good job of engaging the watchers, but if you are reading this for the first time without watching the show, they're just people that they know. So it's easy to follow either way.
Yeah, it's very smart. So yeah, I will give it a magically delicious as well.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh. I guess next is P is for Paul.
Prue? Piper. You mean it's just you and Prue, huh?
Phoebe? Phoebe, you there?
And a big hello to you too, Penny.
Come on, Patty. The rest is up to them.
Paige. My name is Paige.
Another P, imagine that.
P is for Paul. I'm excited for my question because I don't know if you thought about this. Victor is mentioned in this issue, taking care of all of the grandchildren, but Victor is mortal, so in this world, he should have a magical power. So what power do you think Victor would have acquired in the Switch?
I don't know why this came to mind, but this is what I'm going with because of the first thing. I feel like because Victor is like the support and because he's watching all the kids, his power would be that he would sprout multiple arms. He would have like 4 extra sets of arms, or not sets, but like 6 arms total, 3 on each side.
Oh, so it'd be like Piper and Shakti and Shiva.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. That's fun. I like that. I thought about this one a little bit. I thought about multiple man, like being kind of having multiples of him, but I'm like, I've seen that so many times in these comics already, and I'm like in the books and stuff. I'm like, no, I don't want that. So I gave him like Magneto powers.
Oh,
I think that'd be super fun.
Yeah. And he's got the white hair.
Yeah, I could just see him in one of those helmets, you know.
And do you know why he wouldn't wear purple and red, Kevin?
I don't know. He's a fuchsia past. Yeah.
I like how you knew right away. Sean's telling this stupid joke yet again.
But I love it actually. It never gets old for me. Cool. So that is it. Tell us what's next. Ooh.
Oh my glob. I have no idea what's happening next. It doesn't hint at anything in the title. It doesn't hint at anything in the picture. So I'll let the listeners guess. This one's called Prue, You're Gonna Call. Wee, wee.
Ghostbusters! I mean, wait.
And in the image, we see this like very beautiful drawing of like the white outline of Patience because she's got this short hair. And inside her body, we see our 3 sisters drawn very immaculately. Like Sideman really knows how to capture them, even Phoebe. And the little blurb at the bottom says, magic gangs fight for control against government forces seriously out of their depth. Even with Piper, Phoebe, and Paige on the case, there is little they can do without their own magic. Overwhelmed and outnumbered, the side of good must hang all their hope on the single most powerful witch in the world.
Isn't that exciting? Prue, Super Witch.
So yeah, I'm excited. We're gonna get Prue. We're gonna see what she's been up to, and it's gonna be some like really good reason for not talking to anybody, and she's gonna be badass.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So that is it. Oh my gosh! I guess tell people the things where they go for you.
Well, you could go to Marvelous Galaxy of Disney. This week we talk about our Disneyland Paris trip for anybody who may be going there like mid-March. We give you some good tips. Also, you can listen to Once Upon a Cult. This one was such a fun episode to me because Final Fantasy VII House, Kevin. I love that game, and there were people that were abused because of their love of Final Fantasy, so it hit very close to home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, you can also find Sean and I on Solving for X. We'll be coming back with that soon. We haven't done anything in a while because we've been on break, but we're coming back. It's going to be great. It's going to be season 4. Amazing.
Yay.
And you can find this podcast at Words of the Witches, all the places. Words of Witches on Twitter. Yes, please do all the things. Rate and review on Apple or Spotify. Go to the wordsofthewitches.threadless.com store for merch. And yeah, we will see you next week with Prue.
Who are you gonna call? Who is it? Who's the witch?
Who is it? Yeah, I can't wait. So, bye. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Your destiny still awaits.
Blah.